birthday week, really indulged, and now we're back with a vengeance.
So you had a few day hangover, didn't you? That's why.
When you say hangover, my legs definitely had a hangover from just walking, which is very
I
embarrassing.
mean, yeah, walking for 30 kilometers, mate, is a fair stint, and especially in that weather.
Yeah, we'll blame the weather and nothing more. Do you know what I mean? We'll call it the weather. How are you, sir? How's your day, week been? So I haven't seen you since 2 weeks now, in person.
Yeah, it's been a while. I mean, I've a pretty full on week. Weeks actually, there's a lot going on. Yeah, I can't complain. A lot of different projects, a lot of things in the pipeline. Yeah, it's been intense, but I can't complain. I'd rather be busy than I would be quiet, to be honest. So yeah, it's good.
And which is good. You know, like knowing that you like to be busy, that's a good thing.
Yeah.
And I think it's important that, you know, probably a lot of people right now, myself included, sometimes are really not busy, and it's all right to not be busy at the moment. Like that.
Of course, yeah. Well, we discussed that, didn't we, before? I think in the previous podcast, actually. But yeah, it's good at the moment. I mean, I'm time management for me is becoming a bit of a struggle. It's just like focusing on one thing and getting that one thing done. But other than that, it's all good. I'm not complaining. I'm still breathing, and there's always people worse off than me, so it's all good.
Yeah, it's not even that comparison. It's that that gratitude, isn't it? That helps with everything, even when we get a bit. I find anyway. That definitely helps me.
Yeah, for sure.
So if you're just joining, or you're watching back on IGTV, or you've joined us on YouTube or whatever, just to know, like the stream we've got on YouTube, Twitch, Facebook, so you can find us anywhere. Today we're going to be talking about social media, good, bad, and ugly. We're going to start with a few icebreakers, like as always, a little bit. You know, we're only going to assign a little bit of time to it today because we feel like there's a lot to discuss. And then after that, I mean that comes. I'm not. You have to jump in, Lee. I'm not even making any sense today. What's going on?
I think it's just a case of, so the plan is we've looked back at each other's social media from years ago, and I'm very excited what's to come out from Elliot, because I might have gone through a pretty large transformation over the last 10 years, that's for sure. So we're going to look back at each other's social media, fire a few quotes at each other and see if we remember them and have a little giggle about them. And then, the discussion's all on the social media today, discussing Instagram, maybe TikTok, even maybe as far back as Bebo, MySpace days, Facebook, Twitter. You know, we got the whole shebang today, and obviously the very new Clubhouse as well, which seems to be taking off quite nicely. So we'll discuss all of it, what we think about it, give our 2 cents, and then anyone has got any questions, anything they want to fire over to us, any comments, then you know exactly what to do. The comment section is there for you guys that are watching to give your 2 cents as well, I suppose.
Yeah, wherever you're watching, if you're on Facebook or YouTube or whatever, I see all the comments in one place that comes in. So if you want to leave a comment, I'd like you. I'm going to ask to pause for people watching to write in their first social media, or their first, thing that they started using a lot when they were birthed into a console, or they're birthed into like a PC or whatever it was. Give us a little bit of context of the good old days when it was innocent, when you didn't know what you were doing, and you were just, apparently, according to my notebook, typing whatever the hell you wanted.
I mean, is MSN Messenger innocent? Because I think there was a lot of stuff that went on MSN Messenger, mate. I forgot about that one. I was like, hold on a minute.
Yeah, definitely. That was probably, and you know what? I know that we're like laughing and joke about it. That probably was. I didn't really go out that much, in the sense of like go and hang out with friends after school. I kind of like that was like my socially hanging out, was a lot of MSN, and probably a lot of my first. You were joking about it. Probably a lot of my first sexual encounters were through fucking MSN, I reckon. Not at that age.
I think I count you right. I think that's very much, well, yeah, for sure. I mean, I was a massive gamer, so it made sense to be on computer and gaming as well.
Yeah.
So, yeah, makes sense.
So no one's commented yet, so make sure you comment in. Make sure you're writing in what your first favourite even if it was Habbo Hotel or RuneScape, where were you hanging out online? Back in the day.
I love it.
Love it. Right, I'm
So
gonna I'm
good.
gonna fire a couple of things that I found from original Lee Stevens. I didn't write the date down, but this is circa 2010, so we're talking about 11 years ago now. So that would make you about 14, right?
Oh, jeez. Yes.
I'll,
14.
I'll just start off with something super innocent. On the 5th of October, you wrote S Club 7, Love Heart, which is nice. But the day afterwards, on 6th of October, you wrote Red Tube, smiley face. There's a bit of
Oh
a
my
contrast, a little
God.
bit of a contrast in what the theme of the day was there from S Club 7 to Red Tube the next day.
That is so good. What was this on? Facebook.
Facebook, but people needed to know. Obviously, they need to know what was going through your head at the time. So
S Club 7 and Red Tube. Sure. I think, mate, I think I was hacked.
yeah, there was a lot of that. I saw a lot of people getting into your Facebook and frape, we used to call it, didn't we? When somebody would put
Yeah.
status up.
I think that's what it must have been, mate, because I can't tell you for the life of me why I'd have done that. Maybe I had a real crush on someone in S Club 7 and try to find them on RedTube.
Oh, what you think
I
they were
couldn't
linked?
tell you. Oh, maybe, yeah. I couldn't tell you what 14-year-old me was thinking.
What's another one? Pizza is amazing when you're eating it, but regretful when it comes out the other end.
This doesn't sound like me.
Still stand by it. I reckon,
This
I
doesn't
reckon
sound
those
like
ones
me.
I reckon those ones are words of wisdom to stand by. To be honest.
I think they're fantastic, but I mean, pizza is fantastic. Like, we're stopped there. That is it. Like, pizza is just incredible. That's
Yeah.
great. I love that. I'm a bit gobsmacked. That's so funny.
Have you
Right,
got?
I'm
Have you
coming
got
in.
anything?
I'm coming in for you. The first one I found was apparently I take dirty pictures on IG because the photo was IG and it said cleaning IG. I was like, oh, what's going on here?
Oh, I think I know what that is. I think that's when the old iPhone used to like fix the apps and stuff, update them. It used to call
Yeah,
it that. So, yeah.
instead of reinstalling, it used to come up cleaning.
Yeah. So that's me just trying to be.
Very nice.
I think I used to try and really hard to be funny, like on Twitter, and like I used to really try hard, think tweets for like ages, days to try and put something out. People were going getting retweets, weren't they? And just never did I ever write anything funny. I don't think.
Oh, of course, that's what we all did. We got another one here. We got
Go on.
just a simple "Who are you?" toothpick pose. Haters gonna hate.
Haters gonna hate. Toothpick.
Haters gonna hate.
Mean? What does that mean?
You had a picture of you looking quite like smouldering
Yeah.
with a toothpick in your mouth,
Oh.
like real Peaky Blinders,
Oh, that's embarrassing. All right. Well, I've got one from you. First German kid I see is getting put 6 feet under.
What? When was this?
It was after they got knocked out in the World Cup or the Euros or something. Definitely, it was something football related.
Either that or I remember I was on holiday once, and if it was a long time ago, I was in Rhodes in Greece, and there were a load of German kids that were on the same resort as us, and we ended up having like scraps with them in the evening because they were being like really rude to us, and then like we'd be really rude to them.
Oh.
I think it might have been around that.
On holiday,
Potentially,
yeah.
on holiday, yeah.
Holiday pics at that time.
Because
Yeah.
the Germans always used to steal the sunbeds from the pool and take them back to their apartments.
Of course they did. Of course they did.
That could have been something to do with that. That's fantastic.
But yeah, I think I've got one more, and it kind of like leads us on to the rest of the conversation of, about social media, about comparisons, and I think it's quite a profound, and it's quite funny, but it's also like it's not obviously not serious. But we can't. I don't think we can help as people. If you put something up, you can't help but want gratification. You can't help compare, and it's like a new phenomenon at this time. So one you've got is like this, and I'll rate you out of what I think you look like. As in, you were just like people will like it, and then you just tell them like, oh yeah, you look good, or 5 out of 10, 10 out of 10 kind of thing.
That's so funny.
No, but I mean, what you were a kid. You were a kid at this
That
point.
is so funny.
That's
Of
what
course, yeah.
people would do. You know, you'd compare it, and just how that has evolved into what social media is now. You know, is
I mean, that sort of stuff. I think that sort of stuff is still very much like prevalent, but just like morphed a little bit, transformed a little bit. No, like
yeah.
like this post, and you can win this, and like this post, and you can receive this gift, or like
Yeah.
that's a very it's still happening, just in a different
You're a
context, I suppose.
marketing king back then. That's what it was.
Apparently so, without even realizing. I'm not good at it anymore.
You are, mate. Don't you worry about that. I've seen your workouts and stuff. They're always full. Everyone's in there. Right. Should we get to it then, mate? Or is there anything else you need to see? Martin Lee thinks you're handsome, so you're doing something right.
Thanks, Martin. Appreciate it, mate. He's one of my gaming buddies. Yeah, good lad. Solid on the Warzone, I tell you.
Did see some GGs in the chat earlier, and I thought,
GGs, boys, GGs.
Um,
Let's get straight into it. Yeah, so I think we're going to talk about social media as an open discussion, right? Yes, we're on Instagram now, and Instagram's still a huge thing, but we've got maybe 15 years of history, maybe even longer, 20 years of history that you can go down a rabbit hole with social media, how it started and then where it sort of is now, right? I've seen recently there's been a sort of a comparison where like a social media platform's come out and people have been like, no, this is never going to last. This is not going to be like the next big thing. And then all of a sudden, like, bang, it's incredible. Facebook, for example, and then Twitter comes out. No, this isn't going to last. It's just another like social media fad. Look at Twitter now. Same thing with Instagram, etc. So like all these things have sort of like they've come into onto the planet and they're there, but like no one expected Facebook to get how big it did, right? No one. It's very new for a lot of people.
Quite exclusive, kind of exclusive with the way the clubhouse is now, as in you had to be assigned and go to a uni when it first started. So you had to like have an accompanying university, an extension of that. So it was quite exclusive, and then now obviously anyone can get. People got multiple accounts.
Yeah. So I think if we go back all the way, I mean, so if I'm going to recall my first social media, I'm going to say it's probably MSN. MSN was the first thing that I could think of that I interacted with my friends outside of just being there with them in person. And MSN was one of those ones where you had to have their email. Am I correct? You had to add them
email. What's your email? What's your ADDI? To add them up. Which I think at the time we just thought as instant messaging and not social media, but I think what social media is basically communication, isn't it? Of varying medias, whether it's video, photograph, audio, text. That's what it is.
Yeah, for sure. So I mean, and back then, like. Yeah, you always heard stories. Don't add people you don't know, and don't speak to people you don't know, and that's pretty like standard. But no one saw. I don't think anyone saw social media get into what it is now. It's social media is a total. It's a total world in itself, right? It's people run businesses of social media, so it's a real interesting.
So what
20 years, I'd say.
Right now, so. Lee Stevens, fast forward, we won't skip it in. I'm just really curious to jump in with which social medias do you use the most now, and which do you see yourself enjoying the most, so you want to use them more?
Instagram for me has been sort of the prime piece of social media I use. It has been for quite a long time. I went for a stage of trying to push it, and I really fell out of love with it for reasons I think we're going to go into in a little bit. especially probably more so last year and the year before. But towards, I think 2017, 18, I pushed it quite hard. And there were great opportunities that were coming from social media. And it was a path I wanted to go down to. I thought it'd be really good for my business. I think it has, because I've got some great opportunities from it. I just also saw the other side of it and how it can be quite toxic as well. So Instagram for me now is something I'm pushing a little bit, but I'm not like, it is my main social media tool. But there are things that I need to probably educate myself on a little bit more. Something like Clubhouse, I need to get involved with like Facebook ads and stuff for my own business and go
Yeah,
down that route of learning. So it's something I just need to educate myself a little bit more, I think.
I'll answer the same thing in a sec. I just wondered what you meant by pushing. Like, what do you mean by that?
So when we say, so this is the thing as well, which is very different. I yes, I post a lot of like personal stuff on social media, but sometimes, everyone knows how to play the game of social media, right? You've got to, plug yourself. You've got to be doing it consistently. You've got to be playing with the. Everyone talks about the algorithms and doing things right for the right algorithm to be growing your following. I sometimes see Instagram for me as a business tool, but also a personal tool, whereas some people just use Instagram for personal reasons or business reasons.
Yeah,
Some people don't mix the both, right? So when I say like pushing, maybe it means me pushing my business.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. I think I
What do
use.
you? Yeah. What is your main social media tool now? And where did you start?
Started, if we're classing MSN, probably there, but I also had, MySpace. I used to use quite a lot.
Mm.
Um, that would have been the. I remember writing the biggest bio about myself on there, and it was so cringe. I remember my brother used to be like a whiz with HTML, so he made his look really cool because he designs computer games now anyway for Ubisoft. Um, so his was like looking really smart, minimalistic, cool, and I just like put loads of spout talking about myself, like when I was 14. Similar age to what um, those Facebook things were to you. So you can just imagine how cringe it was.
Yeah, for sure.
Which is interesting. One, because of the lack of self awareness, but two, also you'd never witnessed a space like this, so the social etiquette has gone back and forth, I think, with ebbs and flows over the time of like really putting anything out there, using it as like text message, using it as like communication, and just not caring what other people think, to like really pulling it back and being really scared and wary of what people are saying. And then I think
Mm.
hopefully now it's going a bit more the other way, and a bit more transparency, a bit more openness.
Yeah, for sure.
Fast forward to day dot now, I definitely use Instagram the most. Um, I have a strong disliking to Twitter now, which I used to think it was such a great platform, but I just find it quite toxic. The retorts and the arguing and the proving the points, and I still
Mm.
use it for like very specific things. Like I follow like football accounts, UFC accounts, things, but I don't. I'm not that active on there myself, posting wise.
Yeah.
And mainly Instagram, but I think hardly ever use Facebook. And one of the reasons for that is um, my connections really grew on Facebook when I started investing in property and doing all the training and networking with all that sort of thing. And so there's a lot of people that are my friends, on Facebook, but I don't know a lot of them. And rather than going in and cleaning it all out, I kind of, it's people that I don't have a lot of in common with. That's
Yeah.
part of it. I took less focus on property and money in that sense, because the crowd of the people that I didn't feel like had politically, culturally, their priorities, I didn't feel like I sat well within that group of people. Like nothing bad about them, but it just wasn't, the their priorities didn't align with mine.
Yeah,
I
for sure.
use that very rarely now, Facebook. Ironically, considering we're streaming live on Facebook now, so people will be watching that, going clicking off, going, "Oh, we're a little fucker," and
Yeah,
then go
it's an
ahead.
interesting one because I think I think Facebook still has its place in the world. It's a bit of an older crowd, obviously, because it was around before Instagram was. Um, and what you said about Twitter being toxic, I think that toxicity is everywhere, and it's just how it's sort of filtered out
Yeah, how it comes, how
into
it,
obviously your life and how it sort of like it comes down the sort of the funnel from every platform. I think you'll see it on everywhere, especially like people that have followings. They get a lot of hate, they get a lot of trolling, but at the same time they get a lot of love and gratification from it. So that's the reason why there's like this whole love hate relationship with social media. Me personally, I think to this date I never had a bad word said about me personally on social media,
to
but I
you, you
know
that you're aware of.
I'm aware
Sure,
of, probably behind my back. I don't
yeah,
get
that's what I'm
talk
saying. I'm
about
sure I've had lots of stuff behind my back.
that. But I know people that have had a lot of trolling, a lot of like stuff um, said
Really,
about them
I've seen
on
that.
their social media.
I've seen like predominantly on Instagram, like girls posting, getting like horrendous abusive inboxes
Mm,
from like random
yeah,
accounts. If anyone's like
yeah,
received that who's watching, write it in the chat and say that that you have, and um, not you have to, but saying if you ever received abuse
yeah.
from a random person, what the
So
hell?
I mean, this is a rabbit hole that I've wanted to talk about and get deep into for a very long time. Um, Especially with Instagram, because it's the one that I know the most. So I'm obviously going to talk about something that I'm most familiar about. Um, so the way I see it with Instagram now, it's getting better for sure, but there are still a lot of charlatans on this platform, and a lot of people that are pushing stuff for their own agenda, which is really sad. Um, Being in the fitness industry, obviously we see a lot of it in fitness. Like people that have just literally got a large following haven't necessarily got a business and aren't really monetizing their following. They've got a following maybe because they, post some. They might look really good and they post some half naked photos, and all of a sudden, 2 years down the line, they look amazing. They've got, I don't know, 500,000 followers, but they haven't really got a business, so they're not really monetizing their following. They don't really know what they're doing. They're just posting on social media as they go along with life, right? This product comes out, skinny tea, whatever it was, a couple of years ago, and then you have this like skinny coffee club, and all these different brands will then look at them and be like, oh wow, you got 500,000 followers, you'd be really good for our marketing. Like we'll give you £5,000 if you sell it, like if you promote this product for us. And to them, because they haven't got that business behind social media. They're not monetizing their following. They don't really know what they're doing. They're like £5,000, amazing. Like I'll definitely do it without a doubt. But they're not pushing that product because they believe in the product. They're pushing the product because it's money in their pocket. So you then kind of ask yourself, well, like, like why?
Well,
Why?
I think the reason maybe why is because, like you said, if somebody has accumulated followers or something from scratch, then if somebody's offering you money to do something that you've not worked for, you go bargain. Like
Hmm.
I think the point that potentially you're making is that there is a massive lack of responsibility of what people are posting. They don't think about how it might affect
The
other people.
effects is housed on other people. Yeah, exactly that. And I think because half these people they haven't got a connection with their following, they haven't got an engagement with their following. It's very much they're just they're going through life. Instagram is quite a big part of their life, and they're just doing what they can, pushing product left, right, and center to make themselves some money. So there's no real connection with anything they do within their life to other people because they don't know any of these people. Whereas like I know quite a lot of online coaches that have a deep connection, a deep engagement with their followers that have a business and have a brand and they're doing things in the right way. They have the right core values, have the right morals. They're not pushing their own agenda on other people. They're doing it the right way and have built an organic following based upon their business. So it's like there's two different worlds, which are just really interesting.
Yeah,
And
I think that you mentioned about algorithm and stuff, and I recently watched something about that Sideman said about people complaining about algorithm when they're trying to like using it as an excuse. People have got these followings. People who are the consumer and the followers are just as guilty. They're the ones who are
yeah,
tuning in or lapping up this advertisement kind of thing.
yeah.
We
Pat will get to your comment in a sec, mate. Carry on, Elliot. Because Pat's got a lot of information on this. He's a good guy.
Sweet. I look forward to that in a sec. And then maybe we'll do it now because I think I forgot what I was saying. But yeah, just there's both sides of the story always. So it's like we
Yeah,
have responsibility. That is my if I were to like put my little bit of what I think is the best thing advice wise, not that anybody should listen, but what helps me is to think about what I'm putting out, what the reasons are, how much do I believe in it, the authenticity of it, what's it going to be, the effect of other people, but also do the same thing when I digest content. Is do the same thing to that and go,
correct. Yeah,
why did that person put it up? What are they trying to achieve? How does it make me feel? And just have this awareness of like asking questions rather than
yeah.
skimming too fast and letting it go in subconsciously. I think that's when the dangerous stuff might.
But you're it's good you're aware of that, and you're doing that, and as you're scrolling through your Instagram that you're having these conversations with yourself whilst you're doing it. There are a lot of young, impressionable teens, I suppose, who are growing up,
Yeah,
not really understanding that social media, like especially Instagram itself, is a highlight reel. Naturally, everyone's going to be posting the best photos of themselves because they've taken 10 of the same thing. They're going to pick the best one. That is Instagram. That's just the life of it. So they're always going to pick their best photo. And these impressionable teens are looking at these people's pages and being like, wow, they look like they have such a good life. Like this person looks amazing. They've got this car, they've got this house, they're flexing with this watch, they're doing this, they're on this private jet, or they're doing like they're at this resort. But no one knows what's going on behind closed doors because all these people are showing is just a highlight of their life. Behind closed doors, what is actually going on in that person's life? And that's the thing you're never going to be able to see, and you'll never know because you have no connection to someone through social media or through Instagram itself.
yeah.
So
It's very easy to think of followers as numbers and not that there's actually another person behind the screen, like the lack of empathy.
correct.
And I think the point that you made is that people are having a device or a social media in their hand younger and younger, and it's pretty scary how like
Yeah.
5, 6, 7-year-olds have got their own accounts on TikTok or whatever. So I think that my personal thing is there should be like an accompanying education, whether it's the parents or,
Yeah.
or schools and stuff like that, about these points, and so people can be aware of what they put out as well as what they digest. So
Yeah.
I want to go back to
I
the comment. Sorry.
Yeah, so Pat's comment. So just to give you their content, Pat's a DJ, and obviously he hasn't been working for however long, so he's pretty frustrated probably. But he's spent a lot of time on social media, and he's going through his own stuff at the moment. But he's very switched on about like the goings on in the world, and especially social media. So Pat said the internet is a wonderful place for exploring, create a creative place. Social media has become poison due to us being consumers and not people. We are sold not only adverts, but also a false sense of reality, which is not only damaging the beliefs of people, but dents our ego. We try to strive to be like an image instead of a lifestyle. We judge on appearance instead of character, which makes a lot of sense. And he's absolutely hit the nail on the head there. It's all about judging based on what you see and not what you know. And that's all you can do with something like Instagram.
Yeah, it's a visual based social platform, right? It's what the nature of the beast is. It is what you see. Like
Yeah.
that's what's coming out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's we've been a little bit negative. Let's talk about a couple of some of the amazing and positive stuff of social media. We couldn't be doing this, for example, if there was no such
For
thing.
sure, yeah. I think it's incredible. We are more interconnected and more at each other's fingertips than ever before. Um, I've I've made a lot of great connections through social media, and I know that at any point I can freely just reach out to someone, message them, and within the space of that day or the next day, I'm I'm in contact with that person. I've got an answer, right? So being so quickly connected to someone is incredible, and that's what social media has kind of allowed us to do. That's happened with Facebook. Facebook, there's now what you've got Facebook Marketplace. I know now where you can sell, you can essentially have a business where you buy and sell items like an eBay sort of thing. Instagram have now got their shop, so you can obviously buy and sell on Instagram. There's so much to social media that has there is a lot of good in it, and I do think it's great, but you got to have that fine line of like take everything you see on there with a pinch of salt if it's people trying to give advice or selling you stuff.
I think one of the most powerful things is you can find, you know, ironically, social media can be a very lonely place when you have that disattachment and your connections are potentially surface level, but also you can find you connected to most people now have a device in their hand in the world. I don't know the statistics for like how many devices there are to how many people there are, but you can find your own communities. You can find the people that are into the stuff that you like. You can find similar people to you, and that's pretty powerful, because people, if they're going through their transformative years as developing, they don't have to feel alone. They have feeling a certain way, or they're not connecting with the people around them. There is, they can reach out and connect to people elsewhere.
That's exactly that. Yeah,
pretty damn powerful. Pat actually said finding lost dogs. There's little bits and pieces. I'm sure there's so many stories of amazing things that every social media has managed to do. Can reconnect people with heirloom.
Without doubt. Yeah, and I mean we spoke a lot about about Instagram and such. Moving on to fast forward to now, you've got things like Clubhouse. I don't know as much about it as you do. You think you've used it a little bit more than me. Do you want to explain to people that haven't used Clubhouse what it is?
I think that what is interesting that I've found from Clubhouse is you just see a little picture of someone, and then the whole point of it is kind of my premise. Don't push it a lot, but something I really believe in is listening. You're forced to listen on there. You're forced to actually converse with people. So it's really good. And just like anything, there's negative people saying negative things about it. Like a new platform, spending too much time on it, or just trying to push or pitch and do whatever. But you control what room you're in. If you don't like a certain room, it's not for you. Then you just move out and go into find a room that working for you. Basically, it's like a live podcast kind of thing. That's what it started out at. But there's like discussions. There's people like networking. There's people like speaking. Celebrities are on there, and it's like the fastest growing social media at the moment. And I think there's a lot of stuff that's you can find positives and negatives in anything. There's a lot of potentially negative stuff in there, but I think that there's a little, if you can find really positive ways to use it, and I think it's growing really fast. And I think that there's a lot of learning and value to be added, found, especially at this time, because people are trying to make themselves an authority in that space. So a lot of people are giving out free advice, free content that they would charge a lot of money for when it comes to like mentoring, business, all this stuff. So I definitely recommend checking it out. Like the plan is to have a mental health club on there when we get approved. So it's definitely worth it.
Yeah, that seems pretty good. I like the idea. Thing is as well that's great. If you're having a discussion and you're in that room and you want to have your 2 cents, having a verbal conversation with someone is so much more powerful than typing over a phone, right? Anyone can be a bit of a coward and hide behind a phone and talk about anything they want typing, but when it comes to it, can you actually say it verbally? I think that's what a lot of people struggle with. And I kind of like the idea of having an open discussion with someone and
Yeah.
talking about things very openly. It's quite powerful.
It's really weird because I'm not nervous now speaking to you, and you can see me and everything. But every time I
Mm.
speak on Clubhouse, if I'm in someone else's room, I get like the flutters going in my heartbeat and getting like a tiny bit nervous before I speak. So
Yeah,
it's really good because people are listening, they're listening to what you're saying, and also that they can read your tone, they can read exactly how you mean something. So that's kind of
exactly that. And you can't get your tone across when you're messaging. You can't get things can get quite lost in like messaging, whether it's WhatsApp, whether it's Instagram, whatever it is. The way you might want to say something to someone in real life, you might be like really like eccentric and like in such good energy and like trying to get you can't do that unless you absolutely flood them with emojis. But I don't think many people do that.
yeah. There's no special font for sarcasm either, other way
Yeah,
around.
exactly. So it's an interesting one. I like the sound of it. It sounds good. I did need to check it out. I've downloaded it, so I'll get involved in it for sure.
Yeah, and it's been nice. I've hosted a few ones now, and it's been, like people are maybe hesitant to comment. Or you've got the option. I've got the option to just sit and listen, but you've got the option to step onto the stage, as it were, and get involved in the discussion. So
Mm.
it's a useful tool, I think. I'm going to be using it more and more, but also being aware of, how there's that temptation to want to be good and known for using Clubhouse, because I think there's going to be a lot of opportunities when it comes to placing yourself and your business and your like. I think in the future I'll probably find some really great guests for mental health on there, for example. I think
Yeah,
that's going to be really great for that. Um,
yeah,
but I also think that just to be aware of my own incessant need for to be first or to be best at something. Do you know what I mean? Like that
mm.
is just to be aware of that, not to get sucked in. Like
Yeah.
somebody else
Agreed.
said, Tobias Baker said, it's very easy to get sucked into. So that's it.
Yeah, no, it is, and you'll end up. I mean, we've sat here. We've done this for 40 minutes now. We started at 9 o'clock. 40 minutes has flown.
God,
So
yeah,
talking in a open discussion. I mean, you can get very very easily sucked in, and before you know it, you've an hour or two's gone of your day.
yeah.
So then it's like, are you being productive or are you
That's
just
that's
doing it to
one
pass
that's
time?
one good thing about it. And this obviously chat was not meant to be about Clubhouse, um, but you can use it like you use your music, like a podcast. You can put it in if
Yeah.
you're just going to be listening and not engaging. You can put your headphones in. You can do other things on your phone when you're at the office, walking around for a walk, run,
Yeah,
whatever.
and
So
you might
definitely,
get something from some value from it for sure.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, social media is a weird old world. It definitely has its pros, definitely has its cons. Um, but yeah, it's really. I think a lot of it now, from what I've seen, there's two ways you can obviously look at this, but it is also down to the user to be either educating themselves or being disciplined with themselves, or like having that internal chat like you do when
yeah.
you're looking at posts. You know, am I really getting value from this? Is this person really someone I should trust? Um, and doing that sort of due diligence in your head immediately, rather than just like, oh, they seem great because they've got a million followers.
Yeah, I think that there has to be, and there will be, a little bit of responsibility from the social medias themselves. A lot of them are
Mm.
corporations now, like Facebook, ginormous. There's so, like you mentioned, marketplace. There's so many different features on there. Um, Responsibility to not, you've got these things where you're watching a video and then automatically the next one comes up and you're just sucked in and you just spend hours and time, and there has to
Yeah.
be. Somebody mentioned it. I had a little clubhouse on Tuesday, and we spoke about the same subject about social media. And when you're doing it, when you have a betting app, for example, if anyone has ever used or betted, you get to set yourself a limit. Like, why not set
Mm.
yourself some hours in the apps as a feature? Because they don't. Do these apps? You've got to think about yourself. Do they really care about your well-being, or do they
Yeah.
actually
It's true.
see you as a number,
Another
statistic
number. Yeah.
for advertising? For selling your
Yeah.
data, for your advertising, for user behavior, that they're making millions, billions from advertising. So
Exactly that. Yeah. something to definitely ask yourself. But yeah, there's loads of pros and there's loads of cons. It does 100% come down to the user, and I think it does come down to the people that are using social media for monetary gain. If you're using social media for monetary gain, do it with the right values. Make sure you're doing it for the right reasons and not just trying to make a quick buck. So I don't like the morals that has overhanging on it. To be honest,
Yeah,
it's
and
it's an interesting one.
also normalize using that mute button. Like if that's a really great feature. Is you don't have to upset anyone by unfollowing them if you don't want to. If you're worried about upsetting people,
Yeah,
I don't think that you should be worried about that either, because people that you got around you, your real friends, they're going to check in with you. They're gonna know you're going to speak
correct.
to
Yeah,
them. Um,
yeah.
yeah, normalize that mute button. Like you need to control what you want to see and how it makes you feel. I think.
Because if you are looking at a lot of stuff on a daily basis, and you get into the end of the day and you're like, well, I don't feel that good. I've seen this person do this person do that. They're in Dubai, they're having a great time. This person's in the Maldives. I'm here. Don't like my job. You start, you can end up spiraling out of control really fast just from looking on social media. So yeah, definitely take it upon yourselves to be following the right people that make you feel good and give you value. At the end of the day, you should be getting value from your life. You shouldn't be feeling devalued.
No, who wants to feel that? And people, like you said, people most of the time at the moment are sat fucking around in their pants all day. I definitely am, So don't worry
Yeah.
about it. Don't let anyone make you feel like shit.
Exactly that. Exactly that.
Right, my man. It's been great to chat up. I missed it last week, so it's been, even though it was my decision, it's been really nice to catch up and
I'll let you off. It was your 30th, mate. You're only 30 once. I'll be there in 5 years.
you've got a few years time. You got a few years yet, mate.
I have, lad. I have.
It's still a spring chicken.
Good stuff, people. Any words of advice for people to go?
For me, or for you, or for anyone commenting?
From you to the people.
For me to the people, I try and avoid. You know what I'm like. I try and avoid giving advice, just my own opinion on how things make me feel. But if I were to give one bit of advice, it would be, yeah, double filter. Think about what you're digesting, how it makes you feel, but also think about what you're putting out and how it's going to make people feel as well.
Love it.
Filter.
Fantastic. Bosh.
Peace out, Lee.
Good stuff. See you, bud.
Bye bye. Thanks, everyone.